We'll do a bunch of stuff. I love that tune.
Good evening and welcome to Field Talk. Hello, Sergeant Peterson, Shamrock, and Goose so far. Oh boy. I had just a little bit of a day, and I kind of want to complain a little bit before I get started. So bear with me. I started doing some dirt work with the skid steer, which is some people call them bobcats, but that's only one particular kind of tractor. It's a really short one that you drive with levers instead of the steering wheel and gas pedals, and you use pedals to operate the bucket and arm. It's a really fun machine. But I need to make a flat area for a garden to go, and so I'm over there flattening it. And what do I do except for run over a valve loop? And this, of course, caused water to gush everywhere, and I had to shut down the water and go to the store to get some fittings, because, of course, I didn't have all the fittings I needed to make the repair. And I get back from the store, and I find what else but that my PVC cement had completely dried out and was 100% useless. Hooray, back to the store with me. I go to the store, I pick up the PVC cement, and the flip is going on? Sorry, guys. That's got to be silenced. Silence, phone. I get the cement. And I get to the register. There was a little bit of confusion because some genius guy had left a fully loaded cart there and walked off in the opposite direction for some reason that I didn't comprehend and understand. And then I couldn't tell if I was in fact next in line or not, because there was some confusion at Home Depot due to the queue getting all jumbled because of somebody leaving his cart there for some reason. But anyway, the cashier found it endearing because the guy behind me had one thing, I had one thing. I offered my spot, he just went to the other register, and everything was fine. And she looks at the top of the can of glue I got and says, "Oh, red hot glue, that sounds like a good time." And 30 minutes later, halfway through my repair, I realized she was flirting with me. She was pretty. Darn. Why am I like this, guys? Why? Feel free to point and laugh at my suffering. I know I will later. But anyway, on to my normal thing. Good evening and welcome to Field Talk. I am the Field, also known as Field of Bears, here to remind you that socialism always ends with starvation and genocide. This is my handsome mug. As you can see, it is incredibly handsome. You can get one for your very own down at the link in the description, labeled mug. Hello, Keto Bear, Boulder, and Slapweasel, and Cold as Ice Bear. No, Jamie, I had a leak to fix. I can't just leave the leak halfway fixed. It's PVC cement. It's for gluing pipes together. I can't just the water. It's got to be turned back on. I can't just leave it off to go flirt. Got animals who need to drink water, Jamie. What are you thinking? What if the troughs go dry while I'm busy flirting? Oh, that's terrible, Keto Bear. I hope none of your stuff got too badly damaged. Jamie, bit girls, are those like bitcoins, except but girls? Oh, that's not too bad, I guess, Keto Bear. But that does suck. Crypto chicks. Yes, bit girls. Speaking of girls, some girls. Oh, correct, Grandma. Speaking of girls who find me attractive, but I am too autistic to notice it until half an hour later. Some girls grow up to be women, and women like to complain. And today is a day especially for women to complain, because today is, of course, Equal Pay Day. And I realize that people are probably bored of hearing debunked, but the myth of the so-called 77 cents on the dollar wage gap, or 87 cents, or whatever it is now, keeps on getting updated to different cents. It is based on comparing all earnings of all men to all earnings of all women. Now, this so-called pay gap shrinks to between 3 and 7% once you stop comparing all professions without any sort of, sense. And it's so if you like compare male doctors to female doctors, or male plumbers to female plumbers, male teachers to female teachers, and the difference ends up being due to women taking off time to have babies and men not. Now, there's the maternity leave, which is I think 6 months, but that's not the same thing as taking time off work to have a family. Because what a lot of women do is they stop going to work for 2 or 3 or 4 years while being supported by a husband, and that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, it probably makes more sense to not go back to work at all until all of the children are completely raised, but like you're growing humans, it's important. It's more important than going to a cubicle, that's for sure. And just because one of you needs to go out in the world and gather resources for the human growing project, it doesn't. Eh, it's silly. So basically, the wage gap is a myth. But here's the deal. It's basically, women take time off. The 3 to 7% is women take time off to raise families, and also women are higher in agreeableness, which makes negotiations a little bit more difficult. Hello, Shamrock. Welcome. Honestly, I'm tempted, Jamie. I'm tempted to go back tomorrow and see if she's working at the register. Repeal the 19th Deus Vault, annex Canada. Goose, there's just one small problem with that. Canada is a fantasy land led by a fairy. Really, every woman who's ever asked you for a raise has prefaced it by saying, quote, my husband said that. That's a bit strange. Hello, Slap Weasel, I thought I said hello. I know I said hello to you, Goose. Don't even mess with me. And Jamie, you sometimes you squirrel me, but now you're like a bulldog. I said one thing and you're just not letting it go. I want to talk about the wage gap, and all you want to talk about is me being too autistic to talk to girls. Dang it, Jamie. Yes, I know I am heartbreakingly attractive to just about everyone, Shamrock. Oh, that's right. You did mention the tanning salon before, Slap Weasel. That's very. Yeah, I remember that. You've mentioned that. I have to Nike them. Jamie, I don't know what Nikeing girls is. That's sexist, Slap Weasel. You can't do that. Oh, just do it. Well, Jamie, that would be repay, and I don't do that. Yeah, so back to the wage gap. You guys. Wow. You guys. Today is equal pay day, and the if you see any women in your Facebook complain about equal pay, please inform them of what I just relayed to you. That would be yes, you are incorrigible. You guys are incorrigible. I wasn't planning on having a stream talking about my dating life, guys. Jeez. Let's. I know. I could have replied with, "Oh, well, no, fixing pipes isn't really a fun time, but what would be a fun time is coffee. Say, would you like to meet at Brew sometime?" You see, I know what to say, just when to say is bad. Do I need to change the title of the stream to Feel the Bears doesn't understand how to talk to women. I respect them too much. I just wasn't having a fun time, Slap Weasel, because I had caused the pipes to leak by running them over in my skid steer. Well, my father's skid steer, but. Hello, Roy. Back on topic. Back on topic, you guys. Jeez. Back on topic. I like to. But I've noticed that some lefties are not even talking about comparing apples to apples. They start complaining about how there are too few women in STEM, science, technology, mathematics, engineering and mathematics jobs, and but then the feminists, they have degrees in, like, I don't know, feminist basket weaving or something silly like that, gender queer semi studies, something, I don't know. They have all kinds of silly things, and they complain about how women are in care jobs a lot that don't pay very well, like nursing, childcare, and that kind of thing, things like this, waitressing, and sort of just normal customer service kind of jobs, and they complain about this. And like complain that those jobs aren't paid as much, but then they won't go into programs to be large animal veterinarians. They won't go into rigorous programs to become a neurosurgeon. They won't study engineering. It's like, and I get it. If you're not interested, you're not interested, right? But then they won't take on risky professions like, I don't know, roofer. They won't take on gross professions like plumber. Like, you know how many sewer lines I fixed? It is not pleasant, but you do it because you get paid. People need to have the sewer lines that aren't broken. Can't be having a sewer leak everywhere. That's just not very good. And obviously, a kindergarten teacher should not be paid the same as a roofer, like, or a crab fisherman, or even a plumber, because as challenging as being a kindergarten teacher is, people just care much more about not living in their own feces. And what it really turns out is that these people, they aren't asking for more women to go into more higher paid jobs. What they're asking for is gender based socialism, which is silly on a multitude of levels, not the least of which socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. Oh, Shamrock, is your sister a small animal vet or a large animal vet? Because she can make a lot more money as a large animal vet. It's just well, cows and horses and sheep, not quite as pleasant as dogs and cats. So, dangerous or not, the Dangerous or not, the guy who gets your order wrong at Taco Bell should be paid just as much as the guy who maintains a nuclear reactor. Yeah, that is basically their argument. It is. Yeah, managing is a very useful skill, Jamie. Like the value of doing something hazardous and the value of doing something difficult depend on your um. But it depends on what's in high demand. Like the fact that it is intolerable to have pipes that do not function properly mean that plumbers get to be paid a lot of money because anytime something goes wrong with your plumbing is an emergency and you will pay to get that fixed as soon as possible. Also, the ability to manage people in such a way that personal conflicts do not hamper the business. That's like it's like an investment that has constant returns. So yes, being a manager is a very good skill to have. Damn it! You made me cuss, Jamie. Or Bulldog. I will talk to her. I told you I will try and meet her again and and maybe chat her up. I know some really good coffee spots. Yeah, you are correct. You are correct, uh, Dax Digitalis. Dax Digitalis. That's your name. You are correct. Nobody wants to. It is remarkably unpleasant. And strange thing is you go into a place to fix their sewer pipe that is broken because of an earthquake, and you tell them that they absolutely cannot use the restroom until you're done. They well, and then they don't listen, and then you have feces on your boots, and it is not fun. Do you know how hard it is to clean that out of leather? Yeah, Dax gets it. And speaking of getting it, speaking of getting it, women do dominate in some very in high demand fields, such as small animal veterinarians, pediatrics, uh, things where uh, they require you to be like in a very nurturing mindset, and that gives them an inroad to very in high demand professions, and that's a very good thing. But you can't demand that a cashier be paid the same as a civil engineer. It's just it's not feasible. Boulder, it means you are incredibly handsome, or you are holding an incredibly handsome travel mug, one of the two. We'll see. Cold as ice bear, you bring up something really important. Important. The job of staying at home to raise a family, it's not unpaid. Everyone who says that's unpaid labor is a complete fool. And I'll tell you why. She gets paid. She gets paid by having her bills paid for her, by having her food paid for her, by having her clothes paid for her, and by having anything else she wants paid for her by, preferably, her husband. And the reason why he does that is raising the kids is an incredibly important job, and he wants to give her every advantage to do that possible. Oh yeah, it's broken down repeatedly. I can do it off the top of my head without stats, with just logic and just things that I remember, and that way I can't get like copyrighted or anything weird like that happen. So, but I think we've talked enough about that. And the other thing, which, Jamie, you're being mean to me. You're just being mean. But it's time for. Oh, you know what it's time for.
Florida man. We all said no. He said, yes, I can. Florida man. He always gets caught. He never has a plan. Florida man. We all said no. He said, yes, I can. Florida man. He always gets caught. He never has a plan. Florida man. He's at it again. Florida man. We all said no. He said, yes, I can. Florida man.
It is, of course, time to check in on our good friend, Florida Man. Florida Man allegedly faked robbery to get out of going to work. This is a bit of an old story, but the other ones I searched for were too depressing for my stream. This Florida man just wanted off from work, but ended up spending his day in the slammer. The Polk County Sheriff's Office said that Florida man didn't want to show up for his 11 a.m. 11 a.m.? You lazy jerk. Shift. Tuesday at a Hardee's restaurant. That's like Carl's Jr., right? I think that's like Carl's Jr. At a Hardee's restaurant. So he called 911 and reported a fake robbery. The 32-year-old Carl's Jr. employee told dispatchers that he was robbed at gunpoint in Dundee by two men who stole his necklace, money, and phone. But when deputies went to the scene, they determined Anderson's story did not add up. Florida man's story did not add up, according to authorities. Deputies quickly learned that the robbery never happened, and Florida man confessed that he made up the story. The agency said in a Facebook post, Florida man was arrested and charged with misuse of 911 and knowingly giving false information to law enforcement. On the bright side, Florida man didn't have to go to his 11 a.m. shift at the restaurant, the sheriff's office said. Oh, Florida man. Every time we think you're going to get it together, you seem to lose it all again. Yep, I was right. It is Carl's Jr. Well, if it's the same thing, how can one be better, Dax? Yes, Florida man, much like my chat, you are incorrigible. We do hope that by tomorrow you will have gotten your act together. It does seem like you're only spending a day in jail, so. There's that. And, that was a short Florida man. I'd never read leads ahead of time, so that you can kind of get my reaction live, I think it's more fun that way. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, we're just going to have a short half-hour show tonight, so that's good. If you enjoyed the stream, please hit the like button, and if you would like to see more, you can subscribe. And if you would like the subscription to mean anything, hit the bell. And then there's a chance you might get notified, who knows? Haha, hooray, YouTube, such a great system. If you would like to support the show, you can go and buy your very own handsome mug. Look how handsome it is. It will improve your appearance by at least 30%. And if you would like to see more content from me, you can follow me on the social medias. The best one to talk to me on would be, of course, Gab. And if you just want to see pictures of the ranch, you can follow me on Instagram. I often take photos. They are excellent photos. And everybody loves them. If you would just like to throw me money, you can do so at paypal.me/fieldtalk. I think those are all my shills. I don't think I've forgotten anything. And so, as always, have a great evening. And never forget that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. I like that one better. Don't say always twice in the